What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex. I am your host, Steve V. This is episode 604 alongside Jeremy Ross Lopez. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much. Of course, rounding out this lovely equation when we record this on a Monday evening is Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darlings. I'm doing wonderful. How y'all doing tonight?
Very good. Very good. It is Monday, and I am ending my a little bit over a week-long trip in Amsterdam and Austria. I came with my sister and had such a great time. And in fact, it's midnight when I record this here in Amsterdam. I already had a full day. I went to the Van Gogh Museum, which is amazing. You need to see Van Gogh and learn about his whole, we say Van Gogh, but it's really Van Gogh. And his life story in the Van Gogh Museum is just amazing. His artwork, his impact on the art world. We just loved it so much. And then this evening, I already went to a concert, you guys. I know, that's so funny. I went to, it's so funny. It's at the same venue that I saw Lisa Stansfield in about 3 or 4 years ago. And it's this singer that we looked her up before. She's Brazilian. Her name is Agnes Nunes. She's like the Brazilian Sade. She's amazing. Her voice is amazing. Her music is bossa nova, soul. I mean, so good. I had already downloaded her album. Yeah. We went to the venue and she served it for this concert of a full house on a Monday night. They were in full effect coming to support Agnes, and she's sexy, she's fun, she's hot. The Brazilians here in town were all there, and oh my goodness, such a good show. Put her on your radar, Agnes Nunes. And the current album came out this year, 2024, and she's really awesome. And it's really fun seeing a concert in another country. I must say, like I said, I've seen Lisa Stansfield before. It's just we go to concerts in America, of course, but when you're with other people in another country, just to see how they react, it's kind of cool. I mean, there's something, most people, you travel, you go to museums, you go to the sites and all that, but you don't often go to like a pop concert, and I highly recommend it. The one thing I will say though, if you're coming to Amsterdam to see a show, we were in this really cool venue. It's small, but there's no tiered, we didn't have chairs. It's like standing room only. The one thing about it, in Amsterdam, they're all so tall. Everybody's tall. So get there early if you're not of the taller persuasion, because you're going to be looking through heads. And the women, the men, they're all tall. Everyone's tall. It's like, oh my gosh. And also very good looking too. Like, oh my. On the pre-trip, we met this really hot, I mean, my goodness, sexy waiter at this really nice restaurant we went to. And we asked him, we're going to be coming back. We're going to Vienna. We're going to be coming back. What's going on a Monday night for restaurants? He's like, I'm going to give you a list, but I'm also working at this wine bar. We went to the wine bar he worked at tonight. He immediately saw us the minute we walked in. He got us a table. He took really good care of us. The men here, for all you people single in Amsterdam, I must say, check it out.
It's a place to be?
The place to be, of course. Yeah. And then we went to Vienna, and we mostly did wine tasting and they're known for their Gruner Veltliner and some great white wines. We did a biking tour. Jeremy, you would love it because I know you love to bike. And it wasn't it was that kind of biking you like to do, Jeremy, and myself, where it's challenging, but you're not like dying, right? Mm-hmm. And went to a couple different wineries, met some different people around. We're only 10 of us, and our lovely tour guide really great stuff. If you're coming here, message me and I could give you the tour info on how to do this. We went to Burgenland, the red wine district, and our wine maker actually went to pick us up at the train station
Wow.
and dropped us off as well. We tasted so many of his wines. I'm bringing some back. I mean, I can't. It's so lovely here. We also did a sparkling wine tour as well. That was really nice. I went to the Eagle
Oh,
in Vienna, and it was a really cool eagle. I wore my New York Eagle T-shirt to represent, and they really liked that. I ended up running into friends of mine that I've known that I went on a cruise with before. Didn't know they were going to be there, and that's always fun to run into people. Met their friends, had a great time. The back room, in America, it's like there's an area, there's a proper dark room and a sling and everything going on there, and that's a lot of fun too, I must say. Shout out to the Eagle in Vienna. It's really cool, and I really had a good time. I went twice, actually.
wow. Sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
And then lastly, if you go to Vienna, go to Cafe Savoy. It's been there for over 100 years. It's a classic cafe where you can get food, coffee, wine, drinks, hang out with your friends, very LGBTQ. And I met up with some lesbian friends of mine that they saw my post on Facebook and we all met up. They were traveling. I mean, that's kind of the cool thing, right, about traveling is when and now with social media, if you keep up with it and you see somebody in a certain place, it's really fun to meet up with people like that, people that from back home. So that was just really really cool, I have to say. So really cool things, and happy about that. So yes,
Sounds amazing, Steve.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Really good. Oh my gosh. So much to get into with Hot Topics. So, there is a bar in DC that recently opened. It took over a older gay bar. It's a new DC bar. They painted over the rainbow flag, and what did they put in place of it? The Republican elephant. But they also put in the Democratic sign, the donkey as well. But it's the new bar, and it had to learn the hard way that politics is bruising sport. So they are in DC. They are representing both parties, but a lot of people didn't like it. And when political patties took over the space formerly occupied by the Dirty Goose, an iconic gay bar, popular with both locals and political staffers, the decision to paint over the former bar's rainbow decor and replace it with a red elephant and blue donkey, it didn't go over well. It didn't go over with like a lot of trans folks. For you know, if you follow politics, you know that the right Republican side doesn't always support or hasn't always supported our community. And they got a lot of backlash on social media, so much so that it got heated and they went back and forth. They stood their ground. They said, we want to be a place that actually has a conversation of politics, that we shouldn't always be fighting. Well, in the end they didn't win, and they ended up painting over that
Wow.
completely. And I don't know, I'm a little mixed on how I feel about this. I mean, at first I'll weigh in a little bit more, but Jeremy, when you hear this, I guess in this climate that we're currently in an election year, what side would you be on with this new bar coming in and doing both sides of our political world?
I think that the bar space is the perfect place to relax, and so I don't find that it's the right spot for this type of painting or just advertising in that case. And I mean, I don't know. I just don't. I feel like it's easy to get into like arguments and like too much back and forth in conversation with people, and maybe that's why they did it. Like it's purposeful to like get people talking and like give them something to look at while they're there and stuff. But I don't know, I just don't find that it's like the right like proper setting for it. And I feel like at a bar you want to relax and chill and not talk about politics, because it can cause like a lot of tension, especially with like people that you are friends with that may have opposing opinions and stuff like that.
Yeah, you want to watch videos of Charlie XCX and Troye Sivan and old videos of Britney and get your groove on, or go to the dark room, I guess. But Kodi, it's interesting because I hear what Jeremy's saying, but on the other hand, they are in the thick of it, the swamp, if you will. They are in DC. And so they took over this bar. Some say that they even pushed out the former bar, allegedly, and then they painted over a rainbow flag and put in both sides. And they were a little bit annoyed while they did cave in. They say that this is really indicative of our country. Like, we can't have discourse at all. What do you say?
Oh yeah, I totally agree, and I agree with them as far as we should be able to have this discourse amongst ourselves. And the both sides have gotten so stuck in their ways where they can't even bridge the gap in between. So I definitely see what they're saying, and I was just thinking about this today that we, no matter how hard we try, politics and our belief system and all of that is going to come into the conversation, creep into the conversation some type of way. So I understand what they're doing. If this bar could exist in any space, would be DC, because I used to live in Virginia and DC is super close. I used to go there all of the time. And I actually never talked about politics in the bar. Like Jeremy said, this is a place where you're supposed to be able to relax and be yourself, let it all hang out. But I also understand the point to where you should be able to talk about these things in mixed company. So I'm with you, Steve. I'm on both sides of the fence. I'm gently straddling, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I see the backlash here a little bit. I don't think people should have come for them in this way. I don't know how they took over this bar, but I do think, to Jeremy's point, I think, when you go to a bar, if they had maybe started this bar from the ground up and not taken over a bar and painted over this mural that was a an inclusive symbol, the LGBTQ symbol, and then put on politics. Now, granted, they put on both the left and the right side of it, one would say, and maybe they were trying to. I think if they had started this from the inception up, you know, we have the I can't say this word, Algonquin bar, which is a classic bar in New York, not related to LGBT, but it's known for the meeting of the minds back in the day of different, New Yorkers that would journalists, and they would come and have cocktails and talk about politics. But it was from the inception up, and it's still there to this day. I think when you take over a bar, you got to be a little bit more mindful of it. You also got to read the room, like what's going on currently in the election year. I think it was too soon to do this. And I mean, people will speak up on social media, and they responded by painting over it. And I don't know. I think, we all remember Rebar in New York City when they tried to take over the former bar, and they were accused of stopping people for wearing backward hats, and it was too, quote unquote, ghetto, and that rubbed
Oh
people
my
the wrong
lord.
way. Now, time heals all wounds, and we moved on from that, and the bar is thriving now, but how quickly we forget, right? But I think when you try and change an existing bar and put on your own motif that is very strong, like we don't allow this, or we're now political, good luck with that in this climate. Yeah. Okay. I need to give you guys an update because we've been reporting on this story since the get-go, when Austin Wolf, former, porn star Austin Wolf, who's been serving time, and they keep delaying his case. It was, if you remember, it was the Pride weekend where he was arrested for child pornography, holding it on hard drives, accused of distributing it, some really awful child pornography, and it was delayed to the next month, July 28th, then August, end of September, and now we're up to October. Well, we now can really assume that it's a plea deal that he's really working with. He's turning the motherfuckers in, but
Wow.
I know. And he must have a lot of information, because usually when they do these types of things, it's about they have to investigate, right? But
Mhm.
judges don't just usually extend this willy-nilly. They do it because your lawyer has proven that they can come up with, and I don't know, we'll see. But there's not a lot to say on this other than it's been delayed. I don't know. You guys got to add anything to this before we move on?
I'm waiting on bated breath to see what's going on, what Austin got cooking.
Exactly.
I know, it's one of those stories that I keep checking to see, like, what's the update on this? Because he had such people prized Austin Wolf on so many levels, and then it's like, oh, look at, it's just gotten so nasty. And I mean, I do think he has people to turn in, and it will be a plea deal, but usually in those types of situations, you admit that you're guilty. So he will still have to be served time. It will just be on the lesser side versus the maximum, which is up to 20 years. So I think that's where they're going down that road.
Yeah, and from my perspective, that's also kind of what Diddy will be doing too,
Okay.
because
He's even worse, right?
I
don't
know, right? Oh my goodness.
Well,
So
I
and the
yeah,
doubt
thing,
he's gonna get a plea deal.
probably not, but he's still turning people in. You never know,
yeah,
too.
and I was talking to my sister about this, and she was saying, they're both in the same prison in Brooklyn, which is notorious for it's rough. And I know Diddy is in a certain area of a cell. I forget who he's sharing the a cell with. It's it's somebody that also has really been awful to society, but Austin is not there. But it's really rough, and the lowest, you're the lowest on the totem pole when you have drug, trafficking or abuse to children. Other prisoners, that's like, good luck. So,
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
girl.
Right. Recently, guys revealed the things hookups said to them that killed the mood instantly. And it was on Reddit, Ask Gay Bros, and someone asked for some quotes that a dude has said to you in the middle of hooking up that just killed the mood. Answers were very diverse. Lines such as, "Is that your dick? Oh, you got fatter since I last saw you."
Oh no.
Did not land well.
Oh my god.
Oh no, no, no.
Several of the responses had to do with being called daddy when the person didn't feel like they were daddy material just yet. I've been called that and was like, am I in daddy mode? Now I embrace it, but when you first hear it, it can be a little bit of a shocker. And yeah, random small talk like, how was your work day? Things that had nothing to do with sex that came out of left field were also some things that, and I was trying to think, what have been some things that people have said to me during sex? And I think the only thing that I can think of was maybe it was a hookup and somebody wanted to, are you into thirds? Do you want to, like, a threesome? And it's like, I'm here now. Like, can't you and I do this? And they were so hell bent on finding a third, and it was killing the mood. Like, what do you like? Do you like this or that? I'm like, I liked you, but I'm really not liking you right now because you're so hell bent on finding a third.
Yeah.
And now the focus seems to be on that versus us just getting down to business. Jeremy, I ask you, has anybody ever said anything to you in a hookup situation that just killed the mood?
I honestly can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I would say that uh like any sort of small talk could definitely like take you out of that mood, because it's kind of distracting, and also just not, if it's not like something sexy or sexual, then it would easily like make you turned off or just like not into it altogether.
Exactly. Small talk. Just, I think less talk is probably the best. I'll never forget the infamous Sex in the City episode called Baby Talk, and Samantha's with somebody, and he's like, "Does your vagina wanna like to blah blah blah," like baby
Oh my
talk, and she
god.
was like, maybe don't use that, and it was, and he got all like bent out of shape that she was, schooling him on that. I don't know, Kodi, has anyone ever said something to you in bed that was just like, oh no?
I feel like if I go somewhere to hook up with somebody, if I make the trek, I'm 9 times out of 10 gonna just do what I need to do and just have sex. But I feel like there were two instances where I said that this is not gonna work for me. When it's during the pandemic and they didn't really say anything. It was just, we weren't compatible. And the second time was, I'm not really sure what they said to me, but I know that it made me uncomfortable, and I was like, okay, I have to go. I think it was something related to what was, going on at the moment, but I'm not really sure. But I have had those instances for sure, but they're few and far between for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, most people I think are pretty good, and like I landed somebody. They're not a ghost. They're not they're actual real person.
Yeah.
This is a really good thing. And so yeah. But oh, somebody once on the comment section said babe is the killer for me, calling somebody babe. And yeah, I
What?
mean, I reserve babe and for my boyfriend, but we don't even say that during sex. I mean, we call that's like, babe, how's your day going? That kind of thing, but not during sex. It's just no. Mm-mm. And definitely if I'm not with you. Staying on hookups, we all love Joel Kim Booster, Think Fire Island, who is killing it, I feel. And he is recently engaged to his boyfriend, which is really exciting. He's been very open throughout the years that he's also they're open. And so while they just got engaged, he often is, he talks about it in his stand up shows. He's very open about that. They are open, and he's all about hooking up once in a while when he can. And recently he was sharing something about something that also killed the mood. It was a recent hookup who asked one question too many. What was the question? Does your husband know you're here? The man asked. Well, suffice it to say, Booster was unimpressed, and the snarky response was really clever, I thought. And he says, I mean, it's a legitimate question, but it's just, not the thing that you asked somebody that if you're not sure. And I think that would really bug me too, is asking. I mean, would that bug you, Jeremy, if does your husband know, especially if you were like in the limelight like Joel is?
So I don't think it would bug me, but I think that it depends on if he disclosed that he's in a relationship. Like, does the person know his backstory, or is he advertising on the apps in an open relationship? Because if you're advertising it, then I don't think you have the right to get mad or
Oh,
annoyed by
that's
that question.
true.
But I think if you didn't advertise it at all, then it's kind of like left field. So I feel like if they're open and he just has a profile that's just himself and says like looking for whatever he's looking for, then it's kind of random. But I don't think I'd get annoyed by it if your profile says in an open relationship or have a husband or whatever, and the guy asks it. It's kind of like a harmless question, and you could either answer it or not answer it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. And you make good points because the hookup maybe doesn't watch any of the stand ups or read all the gay press like I do all the time. So like if if I was on there, I would already know this and I wouldn't ask that question. But chances are that hookup maybe not is keeping up with Joel Kim Booster or the gay press. And maybe Joel needs to just be like, not getting so sensitive about it. If somebody asked that question, maybe he heard right before oh, he's with somebody, but he doesn't know the situation. And so
Mm-hmm.
I also think I think a lot of the LGBTQ community, we're starting to get famous, right? There's a whole gay press out there, and more so than we ever have in the last several years. And it's exciting, but you also have to remember people are writing about you, people are talking. There's things like gay Twitter, gay threads. People, you got to be careful what you put out there, and people will talk. And so, well, he's in the limelight in many ways, and people, I don't think this is, I think, the second time, Kodi, that we've talked about Joel where he's a little bit miffed. Now, it might be for comedy use, but what do you say to Joel and this question? Does your boyfriend know?
This queen definitely knew what he was doing. It's just all in the phrasing of it, because he said, "Does your husband know?" Okay, if it says on Grinder, if you're in a relationship, it doesn't necessarily say what that relationship entails. So for him to know he has a husband, he has to know. This is just the train of thought that I'm on. So just
Okay, go with it.
hop
I'm
on,
going
choo
with you.
choo. So he knew that he has a husband because Joel Kim Booster is famous, in my personal opinion. And if you know that Joel Kim Booster has a husband, then you know from all the stand up and all the things he puts out in the press, just like you were saying, that they are open. So him asking this question to me is messy. Now, if you were on Grinder and it said you're in a relationship and you did ask this question, I could definitely see it being legitimate, because you don't want to mess up anything that's going on with anybody else's relationship. You're being an ethical whore, basically. So I think that is completely legitimate to ask that type of question. But for Joel Kim Booster, I think it is something that is messy, because how you gonna ask about my husband? You don't know him. You barely know me. That is neither here nor there, sir. Do you want to suck this dick or not?
Yeah, I think if you're lucky enough to get with somebody like Joel Kim Booster, you should just, choose your words, like very few. Just, count your blessings and have fun
Yeah.
and talk to your friends about it. But do not start getting into personal details, because that's when you ruin a situation, I think. So, yeah, count your blessings that you got Joel Kim Booster in bed with you, and leave it at that and have fun. Okay. We've got to talk about something I didn't know this, but I don't often know a lot of things on social media, but it's a common refrain among the gays, apparently these days. I fear, quote unquote, I fear, which can lead off almost any sentence. I fear I'm too tired to go out tonight. I fear I need to go out tonight. I fear I don't remember anything from going out last night. Could be valid. Well, one viral TikTok says it's time to retire the phrase, especially given what the gays are actually afraid of. And in a video that actually garnered up to almost 200,000 views, TikTok user Jackson Logan pointed out the problem with the gays' latest phrase. Dude, all these demon twinks, all of them. I fear this, I fear that. Logan said, the fuck do you fear? A healthy relationship, monogamy, an IPA, football season, a shirt that hasn't been cropped? Yeah, trust me, we know. Logan's suggestions are truly terrifying, and given that October is just around the corner, well, we're here now, he says, I'll tell you what, I don't fear. He says, I hope, I admire, I aspire, I uplift, I encourage, I advocate, and I brave. I like his suggestions, actually. They're much more positive. I don't know, Jeremy, you're the closest to being in the age group that we're talking about. Have you heard I fear? Do you use I fear?
I definitely don't use it, and I haven't heard anyone say that either. And I like his pointers of other like catchphrases to use, but yeah, I don't think I've ever used that phrase. I just wouldn't start with something that I fear as a topic.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I don't mind talking about things that I'm afraid of, but I don't find myself like attaching that to the beginning of anything that I say.
Yeah, I've heard and caught myself at times where people say, or I will say, I feel like and if you just like don't talk and you're in a train station, you're in a bar, you'll hear a lot of, I feel like I feel like they're just doing this. I feel like I wouldn't do that. It's like, do you feel like, or are you just? And the language person and the communications person in me wants to just be, I am, you are. But I get it. That's just thing. I fear is something I would never say because it comes, I feel from see, here we go, from a weak standpoint. And I don't like that. Have you been hearing anybody, Kodi? Maybe you're hanging out with these kids that are saying all this. I fear.
Hanging out with the kids. No, I've never experienced this before. I want to know what they fear as well, because I mean, there's a lot to fear in this world, but why would you frame it like that? Like you guys were saying, I think it's best to just, have a positive outlook. And as long as you go with what you feel, like you were saying, then you can't really go wrong, honestly, because that's your perspective.
Exactly. Yeah, it's your perspective. I don't understand that. So, oh my gosh. Things to talk about. Okay. We've got to move on. And the question is it possible to date someone too hot? And many gays are saying yes. Maybe it's time to let go of the fantasy of dating that Hollywood heartthrob. But on a recent Reddit thread, that was the question. Like, random people congratulate you as if you've got a trophy. You've all heard of trophy wife. Good job. Good for you. Or he's the arm candy of the relationship. He gets hit on everywhere and you're just there. One person wrote, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a crazy one. One commenter could sympathize, writing, "It's happened to me once. Everyone kept commenting how unbelievably attractive this guy was. He's a model too. And I just felt so less than. When I told him how it all made me feel, he didn't call me beautiful or anything. He just said, 'Yeah, but I go for personalities,' which I can laugh at now because of his ignorance, but still. We did end up breaking up because, admittedly, I was threatened by how much attention he had on social media and the nights out when we went on." It goes on and on. It's kind of an interesting dialogue on, I don't know. I mean, I guess we do think about this, if we were to be honest, between us squirrel friends here. My boyfriend, some of his friends, coworkers were talking about when he was finally sharing that he was dating me, and they were looking at me and they said, "It's not like your normal type. He's like a pretty boy." And apparently my boyfriend didn't normally go for pretty boys, and he's like, "Yeah, I know, but I'm into him." So I was like, "Okay, I'm a pretty boy, I guess." and but it got me thinking about this. Do you think there's something to be said about this conundrum, Jeremy, about somebody could actually be too pretty and get more attention, and it's a cause for concern?
I don't know if I've ever been in that situation, so I'm not really sure. I mean, I think that you should date who you're attracted to, and I think that, I guess, if you were in that situation where it ends up annoying you and like it becomes too much, then I could see how like you would want out, or if like your partner or someone gets more attention than you do, or I don't know, but I don't think I've been in that situation where like I've dated someone that's like striking, but it's also maybe just not like my personal type. I like good looking, or someone that I find good looking that I'm attracted to, but I do go for like good looks but also like great personality, and I don't typically like just search for who's the most beautiful person uh, in the room and then go from there, if that makes sense.
That does make sense, and I am in the same way too. I mean, I'm so attracted to my boyfriend, and I think he's so sexy and has form like Hollywood looks in many ways. But I mean, I think it's very subjective too, but I think there may be those striking people in society that they're just always going to get those looks. And maybe who they pick sometimes are not going to be exactly on that level. I mean, I've seen young straight couples where it's like, today, I think here in Europe, we were at breakfast and I was looking over to the left and I was like, who? Of course, I looked at the guy first and he was so modelly and so like, really modelly, right? Sexy. And then I looked over at the girl and she had her hair pulled up, but she was also modelly too. And I just thought, okay, well, that makes sense. And that makes sense that they would be together. I don't know, Kodi, what do you think about this and the conundrum that the person is facing? Is it possible to date someone too hot?
Well, first of all, I will never say anybody is prettier than me. I'm a pretty bitch, okay?
Oh my God. I forgot who I was asking.
Oh my God.
Oh man. But yeah, I will say somebody could be possibly more conventionally attractive than me, and that has happened before.
Conventionally attractive.
Exactly. Because hello, it's all about how you frame it, honey.
It's all about how you frame it. I love it. I'm rephrasing this for my sister who can't hear your response, but she's giggling over in the corner.
Hey girl, how you doing? Yeah. So I think that I have dated people that are more conventionally attracted to me than me. I remember an experience where I brought the guy that I was dating to a friend's house, and she knew me. We were good friends. She thought I was cute, whatever. But when she saw him, I feel like her jaw dropped to the floor. And then when he left, finally, she talked to me and she was like, "Oh my God, he is so hot. How did you even get him?" Or something like of that nature. I was offended. That's bad, right? When your friend,
like, bitch, what?
Exactly. When they doubt
is.
your ability to pull them. And he was cute, but I'm cute too. So there was a mutual meeting of the minds as far as cuteness is concerned. So I don't know. I think that if you are dating somebody that is more conventionally attractive than you have to understand that people are going to find them attractive. That's the name of the game. And they're going to possibly flirt with them. And they're going to do things that are not affirming to who you are as a person. So you need to be your own affirmation as far as your looks are concerned. That's what I found, because I could go on. Let's just say that.
You bring up some really good points, though, that you developing confidence within the relationship, especially if you two don't look anything alike. And I'm talking less about like attraction and all that, but we all know the couples that almost look like, wait, are they brothers or are they twins and they're dating? We all know that. But then there's, I don't look anything like, I'm dark skinned, my boyfriend's light skin, and we just have totally different looks. We don't look anything alike at all. Jeremy, you don't look anything like your boyfriend at all.
No, we couldn't be more complete opposites, but
yes.
I think that totally attracts me to him.
Yeah.
And obviously I have a thing for redhead men as well, but yeah.
But right. And so to look completely different from I think is great. But you do, I think it brings up, you were kind of tapping into it a little bit, Kodi, about, I think you do need to work on yourself when you get into a relationship. I know that's an open statement. We all know that. But if you have a little bit of insecurities about yourself, and we all do, people are, and let's just say you go out, you live in big cities and you're still going to go out together. People might respond to your boyfriend at times and be flirty, and you have to be comfortable with yourself and within your relationship and know that that's probably a positive thing, but it can get dicey.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And just to add a little bit of flavor, the man, or maybe I should say the person that is more attractive than you, quote unquote, and can see that this is something that they're getting a lot of attention. The person that can uplift you and make you feel seen and supported, that's the one that you keep, because it does, all these other people do not matter. You're the only thing that matters, is in my personal mind. If I was getting more attention than the guy I was dating, none of these other people matter. Maybe I'll talk to them and say hello, but I'm definitely making sure that I'm uplifting you and making you feel attractive as well.
Yes, exactly. And like I said, you've got to be, I mean, not to get too deep into this because we could do a whole nother show about it, but just curious, Jeremy, when you got into your relationship, was there anything that you had to kind of work on with yourself for, I don't think you're a jealous person, but you know where I'm going with this.
I think that I'm always a work in progress, so I feel like I am learning to adjust to being in a relationship, but I think that I'm still in like the process of like gaining more confidence and being confident in like my work and just other aspects of my life that I bring to the table for the relationship.
Yes.
So I think that just getting to know yourself better and then also putting not your pride aside, but like just being like thoughtful and thinking about the other person's feelings and their wants and their needs is really important. And that's definitely something that over time, over the past like 8 or 9 months, I've learned to take into consideration, and I'm still getting better at it. And like I said, yeah, I'm always still a work in progress. And in a relationship, it's like you have to think for you and then you first, and then for what you bring to the table for your relationship and your partner.
Wow, beautifully stated because you tapped on a bunch of things. I mean, and I related to a lot of them. You have to think about that person, and now they're in your life. I immediately thought of I'm here in Europe for the last 8 or 9 days, and my sister even commented that you and my boyfriend, we have like we checked in. Obviously, we're several hours apart, but we found moments, FaceTime, and often I would turn the phone over to my sister and she would wave to my boyfriend. And we found these moments to really check in. And it was really lovely the way we found those moments. He's super busy. I'm here on this trip, several hours away. But we also have our own lives too, which she was commenting on too. I think you have to have your own passion too, so that when you do talk to each other, you have something to share. It's like we can live separately and have our own lives, but when we do commune, when we do talk to each other, we have something to share, and it's really keeps it going. So yeah, Kodi, anything else to add before you get the final word?
Oh, no, I love all of that. I think that nurturing yourself, and that only makes you a better partner to whomever you are partnering. So I love all of what you guys just said.
Love it. And lastly, we want to give some advice. And this one comes from a Reddit thread. And it asks the question about dating: what's the deal with this guy? They posted recently that they went out once, but it was a bit awkward. It was his friend's birthday. I thanked him afterwards and said I'd love to hang out again. He was like, please, let's do it. And said he had a crazy week, but would let me know so we could arrange something, but we didn't. This was a few months ago, and I just tried to convince myself that he wasn't interested. Even then, he continued reacting to my Instagram stories and liking them. When we saw each other in person, there were flirty comments here and there, and the last few weeks have been different. We've been constantly texting and talking in person as well, and we're both been very flirty, which led to me think, hey, maybe he's interested, and it was just wrong timing. Okay, I'm with him. So a few days ago, I posted for advice on how to ask him out. I don't have much experience, but the opportunity presented itself last week, and I went out with a mutual friend, and he replied to my story saying my invitation must have been lost in the mail. He joked about it,
Oh,
and I told him he still owed me a date. The next day in person, I asked when he'd be available to pay off that debt. He was trying to be funny. I think that's cute. He said,
yeah.
how about Sunday if you're available? And I said, I was. He said he'd text me, but he didn't. Honestly, a little disappointed because I genuinely like him, but I think I have to accept that it's not mutual. My issue is that he's always so flirty and he's always liking my stories and replying to them. I'm a little confused from my perspective. It's like he's asking for my attention and gets cold feet once he gets to it. Why are some people like this? How do you deal with them? He's sad, he's depressed. I've heard this story before. And
I've been this story before.
I've been this
Yeah,
story
same.
before. I've heard this story before. Everything sounds hot and heavy when it's texting, when it's in the app. But when it comes to showing up, it's like it doesn't happen. I don't know, Jeremy. Why do you think, there's a new musical in London that I'm going to go for my birthday, and it's like, why am I still single? And I know that they deal with this, and because it's like, what would you say to this guy? He's not alone, right?
I mean, he's definitely not alone, and I've been in the same boat, but I feel like I've also been the person on the other side that likes all of this stuff, and like I think that he has to not only give himself some grace, but think about the person that he doesn't know well enough yet, but would probably still be interested. And you have to think about, like, you don't know if that person's going through something. You don't know if they don't have the self-confidence to actually physically go out on the date with you. And the reason why I say that is because when I was just courting my boyfriend
Courting.
on social media and going back and forth, like liking his stuff, and like we'd chat, and then I'd make up an excuse why I couldn't go out on a date, or there was like something that was coming up, and it was just like I made him wait and wait and wait, and then finally I got over myself and I was like, no, you should go on this date, see how it works out. And then it was great. But I think sometimes you don't know what that person's thinking, and I think that he should give it another try, and maybe he needs to reach out and like
Be honest.
be honest, say his availability, like try and
Like
coerce the guy to go to
hey, I
coffee,
really want
or
to
like,
do this, right?
yeah, or meet for a drink or happy hour or just a walk in the park, or like anything, just to just to not give up on this guy who could end up being a great like match for him.
Well, that was really well stated because this is all online, and even with my current boyfriend at the place I go to in New York City, I had to kind of work a little hard on this to he was not definitely, I was like your boyfriend, Jeremy, and kept trying and trying, and we would get together, we would have sex and such, but I was trying to take it to the next level. And we did do one time where we did have this amazing outing, but then it was like that point afterwards, which is like this situation.
Hmm.
And so I knew there was something already there. It wasn't like we had nothing. There was something already to build on. But sometimes it takes one person, and I've learned more about my boyfriend and perhaps why he wasn't as quick, like I'm learning about you, Jeremy. And it takes time to learn. Like you said, you don't know somebody's background, their history, what they've gone through, where they're at, all of that. And that's why they say it's like a needle in a haystack to find that love, right? And
Hmm.
so, but I was persistent, and
Mhm.
if anybody knows me, I will find different ways, and I worked really hard for this relation, believe me. And it's come to fruition, and I'm reaping the benefits, and he's happy too. But like your boyfriend, I had to work really hard. I don't know, what do you say, Kodi, with what this person is going through or what we've stated?
Oh, yes, I agree with you guys 100%. I think you guys saying that when you are courting someone, I love that word, by the way. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah. Okay, Bridgerton.
I know, right? And that's the image I get in my brain too. I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay, are we going to the cotillion today,
Thank
darling?
you. Exactly.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. When you're courting someone, you don't know what's going on the other end as far as their lives are concerned. Just to provide a little bit of context for me personally, I am not in a space to really date someone. So yes, I'm hot and heavy on the apps. I'm flirting, I'm sending pictures, but when it comes down to me getting into a relationship or going out on a date and to where I feel like they really are liking
Like
me,
you.
I get nervous because I can't commit to that type of a relationship at this moment. It's not the space I am in emotionally. So that's just another option that is out there as far as what people could be going through. And again, it could be a million different things. So don't take it on the chin. And like the guys were saying, be persistent because you never know what can come from you actually putting a little bit of effort forth.
Yeah, and I think in summary of what I'm hearing, and like if we were to give like succinct advice, one thing would, start getting a little bit more direct on, hey, I really would like to get together with you. Can you make time for me? Something very direct. But on the other hand, also, don't close all other doors too. Be going out with your friends, no one's committed anything. This person hasn't committed to you too. So keep hanging out with your friends, keep other doors open to other potential opportunities too, because in the event that they come back and say said person, yeah, it's really complicated, like perhaps Kodi's story, you might be like, okay, well, you come back to me when you're not complicated.
Yeah.
And at least you're not closing all these other doors and putting every egg in this basket.
Yeah, I
So,
agree with that.
yeah. Oh my gosh, so much fun with you guys. As always, so much to talk about. You can always follow my co-host. You can follow Jeremy on the gram. Follow him at @JRossLopez. Follow Kodi at Mr. Maurice, on Instagram. But hey, Kodi, you have a single out and you have an EP coming out. Where can people support you to get that EP out? And tell us more.
So yes, I have an Indiegogo out. It's Kodi Maurice EP on Indiegogo. If you just Google that, you'll be able to find it. It's on TAGSPodcast as well. If you'd like to donate a little bit of coinage so that the kid can get his EP made, and I'm looking to do videos. I have a myriad of things that I want to accomplish with my music, and I want to just get it out there to the people. I'm actually singing a little song today, so I want to get this out there. I just need a little bit of support. So thank you guys. If you can help me out. If you can't, I totally understand. So thank you.
Love it. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. Or follow my X account, Twitter, at TAGSPodcast, where you get a preview of my Just for Fans or Only Fans, y'all. And I'm back in town next week, so new content coming out. And in the meantime, continue having hot
Hot
gay
Gay
sex.
sex.
Lovely.